Hello, welcome to my very first podcast. I have been wanting to do a podcast and I've been wanting to do it with Vince. But when I talked to him about it, he wanted to take a podcast class and order new equipment. And I said, no, let's just use what we have. Let's use the iPad and let's just do it. So I'm doing it by myself until he learns all the ins and outs of doing a video blog. So today I'll introduce myself. I'm sure that most everybody who's watching this already knows who I am, but I'm Judy Laquadera and we live in Texas, and I used to be a quilter, but I haven't been quilting so much. Haven't been quilting at all. And I'm kind of hung up on knitting right now, so probably most of my videos will be either on knitting or something we're doing around the house. We have a garden, we have fruit trees, we have chickens, we have a blind chihuahua, we have a feral cat, we have another stray cat that lives in the sewing room. So that's about it for us. So today I'm just going to talk about some knitting, and I have a few projects that I want to make to show. I have a few projects that are started. I have a project or two that is finished. And so I'm just going to go through them, and hopefully as time goes on my videos will be a little bit better, a little bit more organized. But today I was just anxious to get started. So the first thing I'll show you is my linho that I actually have on. And this is a sweater. This is made with Nerd Girl Winning yarn, and it's 65% silk and, oh wait, maybe it's 65% linen. It's 65% something and 35% something else, and it's silk and linen. So I'm not sure. I think it's 65 silk, but I'm going to do show notes, and I'll put everything that I've talked about in those show notes and link them to this video and put a link also on the blog. So anything I say, you'll be able to find out the information correctly and in more detail on the blog. But anyway, this particular sweater, when you knit your swatch, we knew already that it would bloom, which means it gets bigger. So a 3-inch swatch may be a 5-inch swatch by the time it's been washed. So I knitted my swatch, and then I washed it, and then I put it out to dry and measured it because I wanted my sweater to fit me and not Vince once it was washed. So it was fairly small looking when I was knitting it, but I knew that it was going to grow. So I was at Chad's, my son, in Missouri in October when I was working on this sweater, and Chad said, "Mom, that is not going to fit you." And I said, "Yes, it is." And he's like, "No, it is not." And so he'd hold it up and look at it, and he'd hold it up to me and look at it. He goes, "No, it's not going to fit." So I've lost about 25 pounds since I was there, and I still have more to go. And you can see that the sweater fits me. It's actually almost a little bit big. And I will make sure he sees me wearing this sweater when I'm there. But this is the perfect yarn for Texas summers, because you go into a restaurant, you're outside, it's 115 degrees and way hotter in the car, and you go into a restaurant or you go into the library or the grocery store, and it's cold. It is freezing, 65 degrees in those places. And so this is just enough to, it's not going to make you sweat any more than you're already sweating, and it's enough to keep you fairly comfortable in a cold building. So I really like this, and I have some more Nerd Girl yarn winning that I may just make another one. I really do like it. But so this is a finished object, and then another finished object that I have are these socks that I made for Addie. This yarn is spun right round, and it's their sport weight, and the color is Lucky Charm, and I really do love this color. I love all yarn, and I love all colors, but I really do love this one. I like green, and this is a pretty green. Addie is in kindergarten, and it is cold where they live, and she told me this winter that only the socks that Granny make are the ones that keep her toes warm, but they buy those nylon socks with the designs on them and the dogs and the cats and the umbrellas, and they're just not very warm. And so anyway, I've been trying to make her socks to keep her toes warm during the winter. So that's a pair that I have to take to her. And the other finished item that I have is this. It's a cowl, and you can wrap it around twice and get a nice big comfy, I'm not going to put it on, but get a nice big comfy, oops, that didn't wrap, cowl. The yarn is Malabrigo Chunky, and it takes 3 skeins to make a cowl. And I made one of these for Addie's kindergarten teacher for this past Christmas, so I figured maybe I'll just make one for every teacher along the way. Chad's teachers got quilts, but I don't think Addie's going to be quite as bad of a student as Chad was. But I think the yarn is like $11.60 a skein. It takes 3 skeins to make this, and it's super quick. As you can see, it's just a big stitch, and it's just I think it's a nice gift. So last year's kindergarten teacher got this past Christmas a gray one, and I made the brown one for the 2nd grade teacher. And I suppose if she just looks like somebody just doesn't like brown at all, then I'll probably just make her a different one, and that one can be for the 2nd grade teacher. So I think that is all of the finished projects that I happen to have right here with me to show. I've just finished that green blanket, but I don't have it right here handy. So this is a project that I'm working on, and I don't know how to say this word. It's like Norwegian or I don't know what. But this is the sweater, and it's Skogafjall. And this is the first time I've ever made a sweater that has the sleeves separate, and they'll have to be attached. But I went ahead and I made the sleeves first. So I have 2 sleeves done. Good job, Judy. And now I'm working on the body, and I have to knit 14 inches from the bottom to where I do the next step. And I think I'm at about 8 inches. This is what I was working on Saturday when I was waiting to get my oil changed. Oh, and the other colors that will go with this, because it's color work, it's this green and this neutral. So I think it'll be pretty. And then Vince keeps wanting me to make him a sweater. And so I tell him I'll be happy to. I've made him socks and he's never worn them, but I'll be happy to make a sweater. And so we looked at patterns, and he also chose this same pattern because it goes up to a 51-inch chest, I think. And he picked out his colors, and so we're using the Cascade 220, not the Superwash. And I really do like the Cascade 220. They have just, so many colors, and it holds up, and it's inexpensive, and it's great for color work because it is not Superwash. And it's one of my favorite yarns and one of the least expensive. But I think his colors are like grayish, tannish, blue. They're not what I would have picked. But he picked them, and it's his sweater. So, and that will be for my 4th quarter project for Eat, Sleep, Knit. So I will not start that one until October. Then another project that I have working on, the pattern is called Persistence is Key, and it has gorgeous, I see why they said persistence, gorgeous cables. Can you see those cables in the back? That's the back. This is the collar that will come down over, not over the cables, but down to the cables. That'll be the way it looks from the back. And then there's also a cable that runs down each side of the front. And this is Malabrigo Rios, which is another worsted weight yarn. It is another fairly inexpensive yarn compared to some. And this color is Cereza, C-E-R-E-Z-A. And it's just a very deep, gorgeous red. And this will just be a long sleeve cardigan is what this sweater will be. This, if you're a knitter, you've probably come across short rows. And short rows are to shape. It's either to make, like instead of having something straight, it's either to make it have a shape to it. In this case, the short rows were used to make the shoulder right here. And normally we start out making wrap and turn type short rows. Then you go to German short rows. Well, this is called a shadow wrap, and this is the first time I've ever used these. And I like them. I like the German short rows, but I can see these look nice too. So that's what I used on that one. And let's see, what else do we have working? This is, you're not going to be able to see much of this because it's so wrapped up tight on these needles. I don't think I can even get it to where you can see the design in this. No, probably not. I'll just have this one finished next time. But what I did want to show you on this, these are these little needle keepers, project savers. I'm not sure what they call them. But I'm the world's worst at getting out of my chair and putting my knitting down. And then I sit back down in my chair, and I've sat on my knitting. There's a little bird outside that's trying to distract me. And so I'll pull my needles, pull them right out of my project. And so if you're knitting something that has just plain stockinette, like if I pull these needles out, I could get them, I could get them back in pretty quickly because that yarn holds its shape and there's nothing special. But this little lace weight yarn with the lace design, I would have to start over from the beginning if I messed that up. So the way these things work is you poke the needles down in the hole, and then you make a little loop right here, a little loop. Can you see a loop? And then you snap inside the loop. And so these needles are not coming out of here. And so if I sat down on this, I mean, I could pull and pull, and I'd probably pull the needles apart before I got the needles out of the project. And I'll put a link to these. They're not inexpensive. I think they're about $15 each, but they last forever. I've probably had these 4 years, and I may have 4 of them that I just keep using back and forth, especially on projects that are slippery, like this right here, this Cascade 220 yarn. It's not slippery. These are not going to come out of here easily, but this would. And so I say to myself, I could make those, but I won't. So I just buy them when I need them. Another project, this is called Annis, A-N-N-I-S, and I think I can finish this today if I stop playing with my podcast. This is this is a pattern by Amber O'Brien, and it's called Adventurer Wrap. And the yarn shops and the yarn dyers all around Christmas have their Advent kits. And the Advent kits will have like 24, 25 mini skeins. This particular one is by Madeline Tosh, and it has 24 half-ounce skeins of yarn. This is a half-ounce skein. And it has one full 4-ounce skein. And so this is my first full 4-ounce skein. This modeled one down here, and it's called Cool Mint, I think. I'll put all this in my show notes. And then the red one is Scarlet, the peach one is Grapefruit, the aqua is Button Jar Blue, the multi again is Yaz, Y-A-Z or Y-S, the green is Sea Glass or Beach Glass, I can't remember, and the gray is Ore, and the pink is Pop Rocks, and the next color is Mac and Cheese. Isn't that pretty? And I have to use, to get my points, my badge from Eat Sleep Knit for using an Advent kit, I have to use all 25 colors. So, you know, even though this Ore, this light gray, just didn't really do much for me, I had to use it. So, used it, got it over with, that one's done. And then, I guess, the last project I have to show you is it's called Sugar Plum Cardi. And this is what it looks like. And I bought this yarn probably 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, to make Addie a cardi. And the largest size it goes up to is a 10, which is probably close to what she'll be wearing next winter. So I need to get this made. And the colors, I have Sugar Plum, the exact same colors used in the pattern I bought, and Natural. And then this one, I can never remember if it's Pop Rocks or Floro Loco. Pop Rocks. And Carnation, which I think may be a discontinued color because I didn't see it on Eat Sleep Knit's website. And it's just the most perfect pink. I just love that color. And this is also Madeline Tosh DK weight. I'm going to work on this probably when I'm in Missouri soon. Very soon. The last thing, which I may have already said that I was going to show you, I've talked about on the blog, is it's a Joji Locatelli newish pattern, and it's all these lights, or all of these lights, and it's a long like a sweater coat, but I'm not going to make mine quite so long, and it has pockets, and I may not add the pockets, and it has lots of cables up and down. It has cables going horizontally across the back yoke, and I want to make it. These are my two possibilities, and I have to swatch and see. This is Western Sky Knits, and it's Merino 17, a yarn I have not used, and the color is New York. Eat Sleep Knit has their exclusive colorways this year, or our theme is around the world. So this is New York, and they have Russia, and they have India and Japan, Italy. They have lots of colors, and they should have Texas, but they don't. So anyway, this color is New York, and I really do like this color, but I also like this color. This is Madeline Tosh, and this is a DK weight, which is actually what the pattern calls for, although this weight looks bigger than the worsted, which is not right. But this one has, I don't know if you can see all the color in it. It's not speckled, but it has certain places I can see tan, I can see pink, I can see a lavender. I think this would be really pretty.